Two different continents, two different timelines, but the similarities are impossible to ignore. Today, we're diving into the parallels in history between South African apartheid and the current situation in Palestine. How did one racist regime fall, and why is the other still standing? And what role did major world powers play then and now? Stay with us for a journey that reveals more than just history. It reveals the present, the future, and the power of resistance. Let's start with South Africa, a country whose government institutionalized apartheid in 1948. Under apartheid, the government enforced racial segregation. Black South Africans were stripped of their rights, forced into Bantustans, and restricted from moving freely. Their homes were demolished, families were displaced, and their voices silenced under a brutal regime of racism. This system was all about control, ensuring that the white minority maintained power over the majority population. Now look at Palestine today. In the West Bank and Gaza, Palestinians face a system eerily similar to apartheid. They are subjected to checkpoints, movement restrictions, and segregated roads. Settlements continue to expand, displacing Palestinian families, much like the forced removals of Black South Africans. Gaza, often described as the world's largest open-air prison, is isolated, blockaded, and controlled. It's a story of segregation, displacement, and the constant struggle for basic rights. In South Africa, the African National Congress, ANC, led by figures like Nelson Mandela, led a fierce resistance against apartheid. They fought for equality, justice, and human dignity. Their struggle wasn't just a fight against a system, it was a fight for the right to be treated as humans. Similarly, the Palestinian people resist every day through protests, cultural preservation, and international advocacy. Just like the South Africans under apartheid, Palestinians refuse to accept oppression as their destiny. But what the role of the world's biggest players? During apartheid, the United States and the United Kingdom were slow to respond. They resisted calls to abandon the South African regime, citing strategic interests and maintaining economic ties. Sanctions and boycotts only gained momentum due to global civil society, not government action. Today, we see a similar narrative with Palestine. The US and the UK, among others, continue to provide unwavering support to Israel, despite international condemnation of its policies towards Palestinians. Their support comes in the form of financial aid, military backing, and shielding Israel from criticism in global forums. One of the most powerful tools that helped end apartheid in South Africa was the global boycott movement. People around the world refused to buy South African products, artists refused to perform there, and economic pressure mounted. Today, a similar movement, BDS, Boycott, Divestment, Sanctions, calls for the world to put pressure on Israel to end its occupation and discriminatory policies. Like the anti-apartheid movement, the BDS movement is gaining support despite the resistance of powerful governments. The end of apartheid in South Africa wasn't easy, nor was it quick. It took decades of resistance, sacrifice, and global solidarity. But eventually, apartheid fell, and South Africa began to rebuild as a nation free from institutionalized racism. The situation in Palestine is different, but the hope remains the same. The struggle for justice is alive, and the resilience of the Palestinian people continues to inspire millions around the world. Just as South Africa overcame, there is hope that one day, Palestine will see its freedom too. History teaches us that no matter how deeply entrenched a system of oppression is, the human spirit's thirst for justice cannot be silenced forever. From South Africa to Palestine, the parallels are clear. People will always resist oppression, and the world must eventually stand on the side of justice. If you believe in the power of history to teach us lessons about our present, share this video. Spread the message of solidarity, justice, and hope. And don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe for more in our Parallels in History series. Together, we can be the change the world needs.